Francis Scott Key stood on the edge of the British warship and he looked out into the darkness. Every now and then a shell would explode and he would see the snap of the American flag with the stars and the stripes still there. And as he was watching and just could feel his inside shaking with the power of the British guns booming again and again, he took out a piece of paper and he wrote a poem. Oh, say, can you see, by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming? He's saying, they've been attacked all night long. We saw the flag at twilight, and now the sun is just beginning to come up. Is it still there? Whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. And then the last phrase, which is always sung as a yes it is actually a question in the poem. He says, oh say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? This question is echoed in every journey because freedom is always under attack. If you study American history and compare it to world history, you see that America has been a special bastion of freedom where, unlike most other countries, we've separated church and state. We've said there's not an elite ruling class who's over us, but we elect our own representatives. And we've been under attack ever since we first began. Europe was ruled by the elites. Africa was ruled by the elites. South America ruled by the elites. Asia ruled by the elites. And America stood out and said, no, this is the best way to do it. And since then, many countries have followed in our example. But American freedom has always been under attack. And we are seeing that a lot lately. Where when our president says, it's good to take care of America's needs first, he is mocked. When he gives a speech to the UN saying, I'm America's president and I'm going to take care of America, people say he's mean and bad and selfish. But instead of getting into the politics, because the election day is over, and let's move into your responsibility and my responsibility. Whether you vote blue or red, whether you stand for our flag or kneel, whether you support the police officers or don't, you live in America. And America is a land of freedom. And we have got to stand for that freedom. You see, he compares or contrasts the freedom and the bravery, and he puts it together. And we cannot keep our freedom if we are not brave. And our freedoms are under attack. And what we need to do is we need to stand for our freedoms. Just like a group of parents did at a Little League game. All the kids were lined up on the third base line and the first base line, and the national anthem was getting ready to be sung because they do it every time for a baseball game. But this time, someone had changed their mind and said, over the loudspeakers, the national anthem will not be played. You see, to many people, the national anthem is offensive. It's a symbol of tyranny, which is so ironic. But anyway, some people clapped and cheered, and the kids just kind of wandered off the field back to their dugouts. But there was a small group of parents who said, nope, we're singing the song. And they stood up and they started belting out the national anthem. And as more people heard, more people stood up and started joining them. So instead of having a star standing in the middle of the field singing, it was just the fans, the parents were singing. And one baseball team, the little leaguers, those little 8th graders, or 8-year-olds, they ran out and stood back on the line and they whipped their caps off and put them over their hearts. And they stood in respect as their parents sang the national anthem. You see, people are going to start telling you what you can and can't do. They're going to tell you that certain beliefs are offensive, certain actions are politically incorrect. They're going to start to tell you that certain actions are dangerous. You can't go to church. You can't share your beliefs. You can't be free. And Henry David Thoreau, in his book Civil Disobedience, Gandhi and Martin Luther King, in their examples, said, unjust rules will be broken. And we'll take the consequences. We're not going to riot and destroy things. But if you tell us we can't do something that is good, we are going to do that good. Because by the friction of doing the right thing, the machine will break down. And that day somebody said, we're not having the national anthem here, and you guys can't have it. And some parents said, oh yes we are. And they stood up, and they sang their song, and they taught their kids an important lesson. That if this is going to be the land of the free, it's got to be the home of the brave. So whenever you're facing something challenging, where someone is trying to tell you what you can and can't do, when someone is trying to take away your moral freedoms, you stand and you do the right thing and you be brave, because our kids are watching us. And if we don't stand, they won't be free. God bless. And God bless America.